Fine, we move further. We have been discussing important landmarks of the chapter Indigo by Louis Fisher. And the last time we were together, we reached a point in the chapter when Mahatma Gandhi reaches Champaran, and in the company of the tenacious and resolute Rajkumar Shukla, arrive at Dr. Rajendra Prasad's place, and they find Rajendra Prasad out of town, and his servants, Rajendra Prasad's servants, do not allow Gandhi to draw water from the well on the premises, because there was no reason they could find out if Gandhi was an untouchable or not. And those particular days, untouchability was a very, very serious social issue. Was a very serious social issue. Untouchability was a very serious social issue. Therefore, they did not allow Gandhi to draw out water from the well on their premises. Fine, this is where the first few paragraphs of the lesson end. But you must understand one very important thing: what this lesson is, what this particular excerpt is all about. This particular excerpt sums up the very important movement, revolutionary movement, which expedited, or you can say facilitated Indian freedom movement. How? I mean, to understand this, you would not be incorrect to understand it in this manner. You can say, had it not been for Indigo movement, Indian independence could have been delayed by a few more months. Had it not been for one sec. Had it not been for Indigo movement, Indian independence could have been delayed. Could have been delayed by a few more months. That is what sums up the significance, the extreme importance of this particular movement in Indian freedom movement. And that is how, in order to make the students realize how important this movement was, Louis Fisher sums this particular excerpt, sums it up in these words. He says, not necessarily the exact word, because I am not carrying the text. He says, Indian independence help to the sharecroppers and self-reliance were all self-reliance were all bound together. This is how he sums up his excerpt, and you may be asked to elaborate on this in exams by way of an essay type question. Indian independence, help to the sharecroppers and self-reliance were all bound together. That simply means, had it not been for Indigo movement, the farmers, the sharecroppers there wouldn't have learned self-reliance, and it is in his quest to extend his in his quest to teach Indian farmers self-reliance that he helped sharecroppers, and Indian independence could have been delayed by a few more months. That sums up the significance of this particular excerpt, or rather this particular movement from Indian independence point of view. Now we will understand this particular presentation is basically to impress upon you all the importance of this particular last sentence that Louis Fisher sums up this excerpt from his biography of Gandhi. Now when he lands up in Champaran, he obviously thought that the unlettered or simple Rajkumar Shukla will not be able to impart to him all the necessary inputs that he required to take up the case with the British authorities. Therefore, he decided to meet several important people in and around Champaran, and he met lawyers. Lawyers came to meet him when they learned that it was Gandhi who had come to help these people. All the lawyers who had represented the case of the sharecroppers in the courts of law then, all these lawyers came to meet Gandhi, and they all told how they had extended their help in taking their cases in the British courts of law, and had in turn charged money. And this particular last bit would have definitely made Gandhi annoyed, extremely annoyed. And he was indeed extremely annoyed. I do not know what word which means the same as annoyed Louis Fisher uses, because I am not carrying the text. But the fact remains that he was quite unsettled. Gandhi was quite unsettled at the fact that these lawyers charged money for the favor of taking their cases to the British Court of Law. And he pulled them up. And told them that legal advice will serve no purpose if the Indians continue to live in the fear of British. He told this very important thing, that legal advice could serve no purpose if the Indians lived or continued to live in the